Greetings, dear colleagues. Thank you for joining us. This is a video presentation. Its primary goal is to introduce our company to you. I would also like to tell you about the partnership programs that exist in our company and were specifically developed for interior designers and architects. In other words, those people with whom we can truly speak a professional language and bring absolutely wonderful projects to life. A little bit about our company, who we are and what we do. Speaking about me, I am Anton Kachanow, and today I am a co-founder and the general director of the company Kachanow. I have been in the business, specifically the furniture business, since the year 2007. I work on it, I develop it, and in fact, this is the work of my life, which we continue today together with my wife Elena. She is the chief designer in our company and by education an interior and furniture designer. Therefore, she is one of our key technical specialists who works within the company. Overall, if we talk about our history, as you already understand, we have a family business. It was founded by my parents in 1999. The company's history is quite extensive, interesting and curious because we tested a large number of different business models. But let's talk about everything in order. In 1999, my parents purchased the first piece of equipment that allowed them to process panel materials in our region, which is the city of Chernivtsi in western Ukraine, located 30 kilometers from the Romanian border. There we began providing services for processing panel materials, basically producing furniture parts for other manufacturers, who, in turn, manufactured furniture projects for their clients. That went on for about a year, and then we changed our location and moved into a larger production facility. This allowed us not only to serve other furniture makers, but also to provide individual cabinet furniture for retail consumers who approached our company directly. We continued in that manner for the next 5 years. After that, we moved to a really large manufacturing space designed for serial production. This was serial cabinet furniture intended for use in private housing, houses or apartments. We produced furniture for entryways, kitchens, living rooms, as well as sliding door wardrobes. At the time, it was an extremely popular product that was used almost everywhere. That phase lasted for 5 years, from 2005 to 2010, and you know that global crisis occurred in 2008. This affected our company as well as the entire niche in which we worked in the cabinet furniture segment. That's why we had to adapt to the new realities. We realized that the consumer of our products had changed significantly. That is, the client no longer wanted to get the exact same product at home that their neighbor had. They needed to stand out somehow. So we decided to continue using the equipment we had previously used for serial products, but to completely shift toward custom products. In other words, starting in 2010, in the middle plus price segment, and in the premium segment regarding quality, we began implementing individualized furniture projects. This took place in western Ukraine and in the city of Kyiv. Then, in 2012, I made my first business trip to Berlin in Germany, where we found our first partnerships with interior designers who were located in Berlin. And for the next 5 years, our interaction looked like this. We acted as a supplier, essentially a contractor, which based on the technical requirements we received from our partners, would manufacture and ship the products. All related issues regarding logistics, unloading, assembly and delivery of the final product to the client were on the side of our partners. That was the case up until 2017, when in 2017 I physically moved with my wife Elena to Berlin, and we began developing a fully fledged German and European story of our company, which is exactly what we are doing today. Speaking of our company's capabilities, it's worth mentioning that all the equipment we use for production is German or Italian made, from brands Homag and Biese. In addition, we have implemented a Kaizen philosophy in production, which is a Japanese concept allowing us to maintain a high standard of order and product quality. We believe that keeping things orderly in each team member's workspace really leads to outstanding results in terms of quality. And that quality is seen in the final product at the client's locations. Today, we already position ourselves not simply as a furniture company, and indeed we stopped being just that a long time ago. Because we have worked for so many years with interior designers and architects, we fully understand all the issues that arise during project implementation, as well as the pains one faces when providing author supervision. And primarily, this pain is about dispersing efforts among an enormous number of diverse contractors, each of whom is producing some independent part of the design project. That is why we decided to take on the majority of the items that appear in the design project portfolio for implementation and integration into the final result. So today we are more than just a furniture company. We can also be helpful in manufacturing interior doors, different products made of natural wood. We produce upholstered furniture, such as beds, sofas, padded wall panels, and so on. We work a lot with metal, both steel and non-ferrous metals like stainless steel, brass, copper, and similar. Also, we can be useful in sewing, for example, curtains, draperies. This means we actively work with textiles from various global manufacturers. And in addition to all the mentioned, we can also assist with using such materials as artificial or natural stone. Moreover, it doesn't necessarily have to be an integral part of the cabinet furniture as our flagship product. It can, for instance, be decorative walls or any other products needing stone. We are still expanding into new product areas where we can be useful. And because one of the sectors where we implement many projects is HoReCa, cafes, bars, restaurants, basically any businesses, retail stores, etc., there's a component called signage. So to date, we have already done several projects specifically related to signage, and we can regularly offer this service to our partners. This particular slide addresses how, in principle, we approach the question of production quality. It's important to say that we have two key stages of quality control, which in fact we haven't encountered at other factories, at least not in the format we ourselves envision when it comes to quality. Primarily, each part we produce goes through a dedicated quality control section, where two employees under special lighting check every detail for scratches, glue residue, or any defects that may have appeared during production. Unfortunately, it is impossible to be 100% insured against such defects. Therefore, this particular quality control section allows us not to deal with rework or incomplete items at the assembly stage. We aim to detect any defect as early as possible, and only after that do we pass all the details onto the next stage of quality control, which we call control assembly. Control assembly means fully assembling every item we've produced to check that it matches the technical specification we sign with you, before handing over all items to production. It's crucial to mention that we do a control assembly of absolutely everything, both small and large items. In the end, small items that can be carried into a space fully assembled remain so and are packaged in assembled form. All large items, such as walk-in closets, bar counters for restaurants, and so forth, are disassembled and individually packaged for further transport. Currently, we say that we can be helpful for up to 80% of everything that appears in our partners' design projects in terms of implementing them at the client's site. Why 80% and not 100%? Because we step into the project at the moment when all construction and renovation work is finished and we have a finished space, walls, floor and ceiling. That is a space that we can then fill with our products. And precisely because we don't provide renovation services, we say that we can still implement about 80% of everything shown in the design project. This slide illustrates our geography. the geography of our projects, where we have already implemented them. Firstly, these are European countries. There are 10 of them. Our central office is in Berlin, Germany, and that's precisely where we continue most of our operations. In all other cities and countries, we have our partners, and we also have two nations outside the EU market, namely the United Kingdom and Switzerland. In general, if we talk about our company's goals, where we are heading and what we are striving for, our primary objective is to connect with the countries of Northern Europe. At present, we do not yet have projects completed there, but we aim to implement certain projects there as well. Sweden, Denmark, and Norway come first. We are actively studying the markets of the United States and Canada. We already have some experience with projects in the USA. It is a rather interesting market for us, and we are looking to grow further there. And overall, our big ambitious goal, which we want to achieve by 2032, is to have 1,000 ambassadors worldwide, each of which collaborates with our company. Who are they? They are interior designers and architects who implement the majority, the lion's share, of all their projects with author supervision firstly, and secondly, for most of these projects, we do the implementation alongside them. So now we come to the second part of my presentation, which concerns partnership programs. It's important to note that we have 4 partnership programs in total. 3 of these are first level and 1 is second level. Now I will describe them in detail, how they are similar, how they differ. So this slide shows an example of an average cost for different projects that we carried out in various regions in 2023. Here, as you can see, we categorize a standard apartment up to 100 square meters, a house up to 115 square meters, and office. We get a completely different scope in offices. They can be small startups with about 3 to 4 people, or they can be huge office facilities. A typical example is company ADAC in Germany, where we collaborate on producing office spaces for their back office operations. That means call centers with 200, 250 or 300 employees in a single office. And we don't just build workstations for the company's staff, but also various lounge areas, meeting rooms, kitchens, and so on. As I mentioned before, we work in Horeca, cafes, bars, restaurants, hotels. Again, we can refer to this slide as a reference for the types of costs typical for us on average in 2023. Of course, bearing in mind that the current year is 2020, certain prices may have changed slightly. However, the slide clearly shows that we are not dealing with huge million or billion level budgets, but we do operate within normal European market frameworks and remain competitive compared to local manufacturers with factories on site. In the countries where we implement projects, we could actually talk about this slide for a long time, because we always produce custom-made projects and products for every partner and for every client. So I propose we move on, and I'll talk to you about the partnership programs we have. The first, and I believe the most important for all of us, both for us as a manufacturing company and for you as our future partners, is the partnership program we call for ambassadors. Let me remind you who ambassadors are. Ambassadors are those interior designers and architects who bring all their projects to life under author supervision, meaning they provide comprehensive author oversight for the projects they implement. For us, this is extremely important because under this partnership program, we effectively do not communicate directly with the end customer, whether they were a homeowner, an apartment owner, or a business owner. For us, it's vital to speak one professional language with our partners, and we believe, and we have confirmed it repeatedly, that in this way we can implement the vast majority of all projects without even seeing the final end users, those who will be using our products in person. Therefore, we don't enter into direct communication with them, and all questions concerning construction details, ergonomics, color choices, and so on are confirmed exclusively with our partners. Next, I will show you in detail what the roadmap looks like for implementing a project under this partnership program. As you see, It is broken down by day with a lot of detail. Let me explain how it all begins. First of all, we create a central communication channel. Most likely, if you are watching this video, you're already in that channel, which includes all the key employees who will work with you. First and foremost is the person who is the owner of the company. And, if necessary, I can always join the discussion or a conversation at various stages. Overall, your side here in the chat, you have a project manager assigned to you who will oversee all your projects, and they can answer any questions regarding construction, ergonomics, and generally about project implementation, and also keep you informed about the project's progress. Additionally, in the group is Elena, our company's chief designer, who also steps in whenever needed for negotiations or processes related to the project's execution. Besides her, we have a sales department assistant who prepares quotes and ensures payments and partner payouts are handled on time. And we also have an assistant who oversees the high level of communication quality that our company provides to our partners. We really do have a lot of partners, and many such central communication channels also exist. So sometimes we might miss something or fail to respond to a question in time. Therefore, there is an assistant who will always let us know if we missed anything and didn't provide a timely reply. Such cases can occur, so that assistant is responsible for keeping an eye on things, informing us, as the company, that there are some unresolved questions. We will definitely respond in those moments. So, from your side, you, as our future partner, can be present in that chat. Your colleagues can also join if you have a team, draftspersons, visualizers, or anyone else you feel should be included to ensure that projects are carried out at the highest level. We can all communicate together. That's where we schedule additional calls, be it on Zoom, Google Meet, phone calls, in order to ensure the communication is at a high level. We all speak the same professional language, regardless, by the way, of which language you speak, whether that is Russian, Ukrainian, or English, German, Spanish, etc. In a text chat mode, we can speak absolutely any language. So, after we've gotten to know each other and our central communication channel is set up, we wait here for you to provide the project for budgeting, for a quote. Accordingly, once we receive the info from you, we need about 2 to 4 days to prepare the commercial proposal. If the project is indeed quite large and extensive, we may need more time, but we will let you know about that separately and let you know how much time we will need to prepare your quote. We understand that the client may not immediately approve the quote. Some modifications or cost optimizations might be required. This especially happens in private projects, where the budget is initially unknown. By contrast, commercial properties often already know their budget because these are investment projects, and generally they proceed according to a business model. They have to see returns, so in those cases, it's easier for us to propose the best solution within that budget than to guess how much the client wants to spend. So, if you are aware of the budget for which the project you are bringing us is intended, it would be great if you inform us. If not, we'll simply proceed with optimizing from the initial commercial offer in a few iterations until we arrive at a shared solution. And there is a very important caveat about that. What does it entail? We fully realize that not all interior designers or architects are professional furniture salespeople or, in general, professional sellers of the items our company makes. So, at this stage, if you need any extra support or help defending the quote to the client, we can meet the client, usually online via Zoom or physically in Berlin, in order to explain and justify the quote to them and address all the objections they might have. Apart from that, if we get any competing quotes from other suppliers, we can prepare a comparative table showing how our quote stacks up against the others, explaining logically why in one situation it's more expensive and in another cheaper, whether the costs really match, and what risks might arise if they partner with another company instead of ours. So, we are ready for that scenario if you want our help at the quote approval stage. We will be delighted to assist you. Additionally, I also want to highlight that we aim to build a true partnership relationship, not just a one-time interaction for a single project. That's why we are willing to support you at any stages in your communication with your clients. Let's say you only just met a client today, correct? And you are preparing your commercial proposal for your design services. While doing that, you might have technical questions about the items we produce. You can, with confidence, come to us in the central communication channel and ask any questions that concern you or that you find unclear. From a professional point of view, we can give you exhaustive answers to help you justify your offer to provide your own services to your clients. So, once we have defended our offer, the client gave you the green light to work together. At that moment, we invoice 70% in advance, and after receiving that advance in our account, we agree on a date for on-site measurements. Usually, measuring the space is done by our installation team. 1 or 2 people, depending on how big the area to be measured is. We arrived at the formula for sending out the installation team to measure on-site relatively recently, about 5 or 6 years ago, when we realized that the same people who do the measurements will be the ones installing all the products we manufacture. This ensures that the likelihood of errors in the installation process is minimized, because these people truly operate at a professional level, especially in cabinet furniture, where measurements matter down to the millimeter. They measure very thoroughly and precisely, going over every millimeter of the space where our products will be assembled. Once we have those measurements from our installers, and we already have your project, we compare those two documents and create a new one, which we call the technical specification. And what is a technical specification? It is a document that describes absolutely all the items that appear in the project and that we will be producing. For each item, we show every side to the millimeter and describe all its dimensions, providing a technical description of all the materials we will use, as well as all the mechanisms, hardware, and components. By the way, it's important to mention something here about forming the budget. Often, other furniture companies cut costs by substituting cheaper mechanisms, for example, replacing Bloom with some unknown manufacturer from China. Most likely, such manufacturers face various issues or questions that arise during operation. Therefore, while we can optimize the budget by swapping premium surfaces like MDF or laminate boards and so forth, we will never sacrifice the technical aspects of the products we manufacture. As a priority, we always give the greatest preference to the Bloom brand from Austria, which is truly high-quality hardware and components. If Bloom does not make a particular mechanism that we require, and we cannot implement our solution with them, we turn to adhere, which is a German manufacturer that is also recognized for producing quality hardware. We use their mechanisms if Bloom doesn't provide what we need. If adhere also doesn't have the item in question, we will turn to adhere, which is another German manufacturer with factories around the globe, but still retains German quality. And at adhere, we can definitely find solutions for any problems we might face, since it is such a large group of companies that produce an enormous range of hardware, ensuring we can address everything that arises while engineering the project. Now, returning to the technical specification, once again, it describes every single product that we are going to produce in detail, including its internal components, materials, hardware, etc. It is crucial for us to obtain signatures from both you and the client on this document once it's finalized and approved after any corrections, because it becomes the main document for the subsequent implementation. The entire team will refer to it: our engineering department, our control assembly, the production floor itself, the installation team, that will assemble everything at the client's location, and even the client when they inspect and accept the final items. Therefore, neither the measurements nor the project you gave us has the same authority as the document we call the technical specification. That is the document we all reference throughout the project. Once the technical specification is finalized, we produce the engineering documentation for the CNC machines. Then, in about 14 to 21 working days, we produce the entire batch of goods that meets the specification. As I mentioned, there are two stages of quality control. First, we check all the parts. Secondly, there is the control assembly of all items. After the control assembly is done, we take photos and videos and share them with our partners, that is, you, so that you can be sure all the items we've made indeed conform to the specification we signed and approved together. As soon as you give us the green light, indicating that yes, indeed, you are satisfied and we can ship them, we take all large items, as I mentioned before, apart and package them in detail, while smaller items like vanity cabinets, kitchen cabinets, or wardrobes are shipped in assembled form. Consequently, that is how we transport them. Shipping typically takes 7 to 10 days, though it can sometimes be quicker. 10 days was the longest shipping time from Chernivtsi, where our factory is located, to La Coruña in northern Spain, which took 10 days, covering a distance of just over 4,000 kilometers. So basically, the time frames are quite reasonable for shipping and for implementing a project. So once everything has arrived at the site, and by the way, our company handles all logistics and related matters, including customs clearance, etc., you don't have to worry about anything. We deliver the items directly to the site. Once they are delivered, we issue a second invoice for 25% of the total cost of all the items we are providing, receive payment, and move on to the installation work. Each installation crew we have consists, as a rule, of 3 people. By the way, all the installers are our own staff. We never outsource. These are the people who have been with us for 5 or even 10 years, and they are deeply familiar with the technical documentation of our production. They fully understand the quality standards we uphold, and they do everything so that we truly conform to those standards at 100%. So, as I said, there are 3 people in our installation crew. 2 are professional installers, and one of them is the head of the installation department who coordinates their work. Additionally, that person can act as the link between our company and the client on site while performing the installation. However, we generally prefer that the client is not present during installation, because typically that does not lead to better or outstanding outcomes, quite the opposite. The client might distract our installers, confuse them, prevent them from focusing, or simply get in the way. Hence, we want them absent from the site while the work is being done, but if that cannot be avoided and we can't influence it, the head of the installation department assumes all communication issues with the client. Our installation manager, among other things, handles any issues that arise for the installers while they work. For instance, perhaps some tool has broken, or they need extra materials, or something else might come up. In that situation, he deals with everything so that the installers can keep on working. Installation doesn't stop or pause, they carry on with their duties. Once the installation is finished, we sign an acceptance certificate with you or the client, where either you or the client can list any non-conformities they believe are unresolved regarding the work that's been completed. Because, unfortunately, you can't be absolutely guaranteed that everything will go smoothly. For instance, a mover could drop a door front during unloading, and it could crack or get damaged, making it subject to replacement. Such cases happen rarely, but do occur. We understand this, so we have a business process called additional works, which can last from 2 to 4 weeks, and usually that time frame is enough to correct any small errors or flaws that might have arisen during installation. That is, by default, we do not release defective products from production, but something can happen during unloading, loading, transportation, or installation. Although our packaging is very secure, and our installation teams and the movers we hire are very careful, Still, no one can be 100% insured, unfortunately, so if something does go wrong, all such issues are noted in the acceptance certificate, and we take up to 2 to 4 weeks, 4 weeks at most, to remedy any flaws that might have appeared during installation. As soon as the client, hopefully right away after installation, has no more claims against us regarding our work and the quality of the products they received, we issue the final invoice for 5%. And as soon as that amount is in our account, we contact you, our partner, so that you can invoice us for payment of your compensation. A bonus of 12% of all the products itemized in the invoice, except overhead costs on which our company does not earn. By overheads, I mean logistics and installation. So 12% of all the products your client purchased from us is your bonus as our designer partner, which can in fact increase to 15% and become ongoing if we implement a project with you, possibly right from the first one, at a total of 100,000 euros or more. Alternatively, we can complete 5 projects together with your 12% bonus. That means once one of those conditions is met, you enter a new status with our company, the boss status. And on an ongoing basis, within this partnership program, you would receive 15%. I want to emphasize again that this partnership program is meant for designers and architects who carry out projects with author supervision. Accordingly, we do not have direct contact with the client here, except possibly during the quote defense stage. This is the first and most important partnership program that we rely on. You can get more detailed info from us about how to calculate the numbers, how much extra you can earn with us through this partnership program. Also, I will now explain 2 other first-level partnership programs we have. The second partnership program is basically the same as the first but differs in only one aspect. You, as the designer, are not supervising the project with author oversight. That may happen for various reasons. Maybe you generally don't provide author supervision, or maybe the client decided during the design process that they don't actually need it and they can handle the implementation tests themselves for the project you prepared for them. In that situation, you can transfer the project you created for your client, as well as their contact, or introduce us. You'll also receive a very detailed set of instructions about how to put us in touch with the client, how to properly and accurately get us in contact so we can indeed begin direct communication and help them implement your project. After that project has been completed, we will make the partner payment to you of 10% of the cost of the products shown on the invoice, minus overhead costs that I already mentioned. And the third partnership program is for those occasions when you, let's say, meet a customer and find that they don't really need a design project, they simply want our products. They need furniture we can produce for them. For example, imagine an investment apartment which needs to be furnished. For instance, they require a kitchen, a bed, or a wardrobe, standard items for any rental apartment. You can pass along that lead as well. As I said, there's a special, well-developed set of instructions on how to connect us with such a person properly. If you follow those instructions, these prospective customers won't be lost on their way to us, and we can promptly communicate with them and assist them in implementing their project. We, for our part, certainly do not design anything in this case, because that's not even among our services. We don't offer design project development, but we do create a furniture project, or what we call a technical specification, showing each piece, how it looks outside, how it appears inside, based on the client's needs, and we can then implement that project for the client. Under this partnership program, just for sharing the contact of a client who needs our products, you receive a 5% bonus from the cost of the goods we sell to them, the lead you provided. Those are the 3 main partnership programs established specifically for designers and architects who can implement their projects in very different formats. Finally, there is a second-level partnership program that is mostly intended for people who have broad connections in design and architecture. Perhaps that could be you as well if you have a large network in the field, meaning you have colleagues for whom we could also be useful and who could become our future partners. Because our big ambitious objective is 1,000 partner seats across the globe by 2032, we keep expanding. This particular partnership program focuses on introducing us to potential partners, interior designers or architects. It's especially significant if that person will be implementing their projects with author supervision. If we start implementing a project with that newly introduced partner, this could happen the day after you introduce them, or a week later, or a month, a year, or even 2 years later. Partnerships fundamentally depend on trust, so it can happen at different points in time. But from the moment we begin implementing the first project, once we have received a deposit for that project, a 6-month countdown begins. During those 6 months, you earn a 3% partner payout on all the orders for that newly referred partner's clients. After 6 months, the partnership program for that particular new partner ends, because simultaneously paying the new partner their 12 to 15% and also paying you 3% means we operate roughly at zero. From a business standpoint, that's not effective. So we treat it as our marketing investment aimed at expansion our network and the pool of partners with whom we collaborate. After 6 months, for that specific new partner, the partnership program ends, but it can continue for any other new partners you introduce to us in the future. In general, that is the end of my presentation. I really appreciate your time and for watching this video through to the end. After you watch this video, I'd ask you to write here in the chat how interested you are in partnering with our company, how understandable it was, and whether you feel you have any questions. I will be happy to meet you in person. We can schedule a meeting and figure out exactly how we can collaborate going forward. Also, if you already have projects in mind where we could be helpful, don't hesitate to reach out. We are always open and ready to support you at various stages in different matters and always keen to develop partnership relations. Once again, thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.